Thank you for joining us. The following webinar was produced by the staff of the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development for the Virginia Main Street Program. DHCD is committed to creating safe, affordable, and prosperous communities to live, work, and do business in Virginia. The following webinar content will focus on the organization point of the Main Street approach, which articulates a focused, deliberate path to revitalizing or strengthening a downtown or commercial district's economy. Let's get started by taking a look at the Main Street approach and how organization fits into the framework. But before I dive into the focus, here is some food for thought. What makes residents love where they live? What draws people to a place and keeps them there? In today's economic climate, community leaders are seeking new ways to attract and retain people, develop prosperous economies, and create jobs. In a partnership with the Knight Foundation, Gallup gathered insights from nearly 43,000 individuals to determine factors that attach residents to their communities and the role of community attachment in an area's economic growth and well-being. The Knight Soul of the Community study provides evidence that the drivers that create emotional bonds between people and their community are consistent in virtually every town. People consistently give higher ratings for elements that relate directly to their daily quality of life, an area's physical beauty, opportunities for socializing, and a community's openness to all people. Remarkably, the study also shows that the communities with the highest levels of attachment had the highest rates of GDP growth, a comprehensive scorecard of a locality's economic health. There is strong evidence and a clear return for community leaders to invest in these community-based revitalization initiatives. Rising to the challenge, the Main Street approach provides the framework to harness local assets and create a better quality of life for all. So what is this Main Street all about? Main Street America is a program of the National Main Street Center, a subsidiary of the National Trust for Historic Preservation. It is also the name of the national network of coordinating programs, Main Street communities and districts, and affiliates. As a Main Street America coordinating program, Virginia Main Street helps to lead a powerful grassroots network consisting of over 40 coordinating programs and over 2,000 neighborhoods and communities across the country committed to creating high-quality places and to building stronger communities through preservation-based economic development. Virginia Main Street offers a range of services and assistance to communities interested in revitalizing their historic commercial districts. So altogether, Main Street empowers communities to set their own destinies and offers a roadmap for locally owned, locally driven prosperity. The Main Street approach offers community-based revitalization initiatives with a practical, adaptable framework for downtown transformation that is easily tailored to local conditions. It is most effective in places where community residents have a strong emotional, social, and civic connection and are motivated to get involved and make a difference. The Main Street approach begins with creating a vision for success on Main Street, a community-driven process that brings diverse stakeholders from all sectors together to be proactive participants in the revitalization process. It is also based on a solid analysis and understanding of the district's market and best economic opportunities. From these activities, transformation strategies are then generated to help guide a revitalization program's work around a particular customer segment or underserved market. These strategies are implemented through a broad range of activities that span the four broad areas of work: economic vitality, design, promotion, and organization, and are measurable, making it possible to track progress. Transformation strategies are implemented through comprehensive work in those four broad areas known as the 4 points. Economic vitality focuses on capital, incentives, and other economic and financial tools to assist new and existing businesses, catalyze property investment, and create a supportive environment for entrepreneurs and innovators that drive local economies. Design supports a community's transformation by enhancing the physical and visual assets that set the commercial district apart. Promotion positions the downtown or community district as the center of the community and hub of economic activity, while creating a positive image that showcases a community's unique characteristics. And organization involves creating a strong foundation for a sustainable revitalization effort, including cultivating partnerships, community involvement, and resources for the district. Why is the organization important in the framework? That's to improve economic performance of the district by developing an action plan to accomplish the downtown vision and communicate results, fostering and rewarding stakeholder engagement for a robust volunteer pipeline, and nurturing a sense of ownership that results in a culture of giving for a sustainable effort. More simply, to improve the economic performance of the district, organization focuses on action planning and managing the scope of work, volunteer and leader development, recruiting and supervising people and rewarding good work, investor development and strategy for attracting financial resources for downtown and your organization, and programmatic communication, communicating excitement and progress to advocates and the general public. In tandem with staff, organization also addresses operations of the nonprofit or hosting entity, such as office administration, staff management, fiscal and legal accountability, and Main Street designation and reporting. Who are the players that power organization? Whether organization is a committee, project task force, or a category on a work plan, a well-honed brain trust of expertise is needed. These are the communicators, organizers, money managers, and givers of time and money. Team members can include people with expertise in business management, public and or media relations, fundraising, organizational development, project management, and leadership. How do we build a sense of ownership? People are at the heart of the Main Street effort. Developing and focusing on a robust engagement program for the community and stakeholders is a path that will deliver meaningful results to your organization. People participate and connect to the mission or otherwise own revitalization when they recognize the importance of having a role in the process. When we, as the Main Street program, recognize everyone has a role in the process. And when they move into action beyond passive support to active engagement. It is a path that embraces with versus for. Organizations must engage stakeholders in the public and private sectors to effectively plan and implement mission-oriented activities and initiatives, raise funds and secure resources, human and financial. Most importantly, broad collaboration efforts will ensure a myriad of perspectives help inform the work of any local Main Street program, reflecting no one specific agenda, but rather the community's vision for the commercial district. Local Main Street programs can ensure broad community engagement and forge valuable partnerships based on the way they communicate the work of the organization. If you want to raise money for projects, motivate volunteers, get things done, and make the time you spend in the Main Street program productive and enjoyable, a good action plan is necessary. To build leadership and strong organization capacity, everyone must be working towards the same goal, focusing on the long-term strategies that will transform downtown and ensure its vitality. This diagram shows a common strategic planning approach. Start the process by planning the plan, Board presidents and executive director takes the lead in recognizing the need for strategic planning and determining whether the time is right to initiate the planning process. Then, community engagement and the data gathering stage. Community engagement invites all of the voices in your community to be equal parts in determining the community's future, taking ownership of process, means, and outcomes of your revitalization efforts. Next, undertake a SWOT or SOAR analysis. Both are strategic planning tools that can help your organization create and execute its strategy. When conducting a SWOT, board members not only identify the organization's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but also discuss potential strategic responses. Alternatively, the SOAR model, which identified the strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results, is a tool to recognize the potential of the organization. It is more action-oriented than SWOT and is focused on outcomes. Then review the mission statement and Main Street transformation strategies, if formally adopted. Revisit why the organization exists and the unique role it plays within the local market and broader community. Next, generate goals, objectives, and activities. These should be viewed within the context of the mission, so all of the organization's undertakings ultimately contribute to advancing its mission. Finally, execute and monitor the plan. Identify specific data the board can use to review progress towards the anticipated outcomes, and when necessary, make adjustments to the plan. Your organization may use any action planning format that is preferred by the group. No matter what format is used, the plan should include these key elements: mission statement, which is a statement of purpose; a vision statement, which is the dream; the next four elements in the basic foundation of your plan. If you want the organization and district to flourish, then plan and execute GOAT in a well-organized manner. Goals are what you want to achieve, the big picture. Goals are forward-facing and provide the organization with a direction in which it will move. Objectives are markers indicating progress. Objectives will help you gain what must be accomplished to achieve the goals. Activities are what you will do to fulfill your objectives, and tactics are specific steps. To make the plan a practical tool for staff and volunteers, include a timetable of beginning and ending dates, responsibilities to assign a person to the task, and a budget, an estimate of activity costs. A mission statement is a short description of your organization's purpose. A well-crafted mission statement is inspirational for volunteers and staff to find purpose in, but also direct enough for making important business decisions. It explains why the organization exists. Simon Sinek, author of Start With Why, How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action, says, quote, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it." So ask, why does your Main Street organization do what it does? Start here before going on to define your how and your what. Here's an example for the Ourtown Main Street program. We believe Ourtown can be the most vibrant rural market in the Southeast, a place where everyone can realize their dreams. To make that happen, we create a vibrant commercial district, a beautiful and safe place where people shop, work, play, and enjoy life every day. Your organization's vision statement aims to clarify the ideal future state of your downtown and community from the work your organization will accomplish. Ask, imagine your ideal downtown. What would downtown be like if you had the power to make it any way you wanted? Now imagine that you are describing your ideal downtown to a visitor or new resident. What is the most important to share? Here's an example for Ourtown Main Street. Downtown Ourtown is the historic heart and soul of the region, the hub for equitable entrepreneurship, and full of vibrancy creating businesses that create jobs and build individual and family wealth. A vision statement can be as long as several paragraphs or as brief as a phrase, depending on how you want to intend to use it or where you publish it. A brief vision statement could be used in talking points on an index card, while a longer statement could be posted on your website to provide details for a future donor considering a gift and needs to know more about what your organization is planning to accomplish. Here is an example of how these different elements work together. A goal is really about the ultimate impact or outcome that you hope to bring about. One Ourtown Main Street goal is to strengthen and broaden the economic base of downtown. Goals and objectives go hand in hand. Goals define the objectives. Using an acronym, they are SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-oriented. One Ourtown Main Street goal is to increase communication with downtown property owners. So they include a specific measure to further define the objective, such as the percent increase of total posts and comments on a Facebook group. Activities define specific assignments or initiatives the committee will undertake to meet the objective. Ourtown will develop a downtown property owner Facebook group. Tactics describe individual actions necessary to complete the project, and in most circumstances will include a number of necessary action steps. Our Ourtown tactic to complete the activity is to create a list of all downtown property owners. The timetable simply sets realistic start and finish dates for each tactic. In the case of this example, the activity will start July 15th, and the Facebook group launches in August 24th. Responsibility identifies the specific staff or committee member who will take the lead and be responsible for completion. In the case of this example, that is Economic Vitality Task Force Chair Grace Jones. And finally, the budget outlines all costs associated with each task, helping committee and board to set priorities. Let's learn about engaging a robust volunteer pipeline, your program's future volunteer workforce. These volunteers pull the community into Main Street with their connections and ensure that Main Street's work is relevant to them. Although there will be community impacts, the people who are giving of their time should also benefit, which can include altruistic involvement in a favorite cause, access to community leaders for networking, provide input and be involved regarding key community issues, and for those in school, volunteering can help receive credit for community service and class programs. A great volunteer program helps create a sense of belonging and results in volunteers who are engaged, fulfilled, and stay with your organization for many years. The program should include matching positions to the mission, organizational identity and orientation, clear, specific job descriptions, recruiting and intake process, onboarding and training for safety and to set expectations, engagement and utilization of their time, recognition of their good work and impact, retention for a given period of time, and out-processing. So where should we begin? First, reflect back to the Main Street Action Plan. What is the vision and mission aiming to accomplish, and where do volunteers fit in? It is very possible you need champions to help execute programs or work with fundraising events. Learn about every possible way volunteers can help to expand your organization's work. That may include managing social media, a merchant ambassador and liaison to Main Street, an event representative for the Main Street information booth at an event, fundraising development, and creating a pocket park for gathering. Also, listen to stakeholders to understand community needs. A volunteer could develop surveys, interview people, or create a focus group. Are you ready and willing to develop job descriptions, policies, and procedures to work with volunteers? What about an onboarding process? Before you bring the volunteers on, make sure you get, quote, your house in order. The mechanics of your volunteer program are the underlying mechanisms that help it to function effectively. Make sure you have the following: volunteer position descriptions that help increase impact and align with interests and needs. In collaboration with organizational leadership, ensure volunteer policies are developed and followed. Policies and procedures help ensure volunteers act according to a legal, ethical, and organizationally preferred manner in the workplace. An effective volunteer orientation and training program can go a long way toward engaging volunteers, helping them understand their impact and empowering them to contribute to their cause. And a volunteer database is essential to balance administrative tasks, promote programs, and turn volunteers into donors on an ongoing basis. So a volunteer coordinator may be up for the task. Whether that is staff or a volunteer position, the right candidate should be someone you trust, or a committee with sole responsibility to manage volunteers and coordinate. The volunteer coordinator will be responsible for creating or managing the mechanics of the program: position description, recruitment strategy, training policies, in addition to maintaining volunteer records, including contact information, references, background checks, hours worked, jobs completed, and awards and recognition. And finally, schedule volunteers for events and volunteer work hours. The role serves as key liaison for all matters related to volunteers. The right candidate should have the following qualities and skills: leadership, humor, planning skills, energy, and be able to juggle multiple demands. Volunteer recruitment is a process of recruiting the best candidates for volunteering work in your nonprofit organization. Today, people are busy and more families may need to work full-time, leaving less time for volunteering. Consequently, volunteer opportunities are shifting with the times. Today's volunteers look for short-term projects with clear tasks and high impact. Flexible timing, which is the freedom to complete tasks when available, but still meet deadlines. Closed-end assignments, ones with a clear beginning and end. Fun, for creating an experience that is meaningful and enjoyable. Mixed cultural exposure, chance to excel in a new area, and an opportunity to combine volunteering with fitness, ecology, socializing, learning, resume building, recognition, contacts, training, and values. The most promising places for nonprofits to recruit new volunteer talent are among retired baby boomers, millennials, and Gen Z, businesses, and religious organizations. How and where you recruit will depend on your target demographic. Decide how you want to promote the roles. Online portals, volunteer fairs, social media, radio, and face-to-face networking are all options. If your volunteers are key to community impact, you want to ensure that they have a positive experience with your organization, one that motivates them to become active and committed. Having a well-thought-out onboarding process can help volunteers feel welcome and part of your Main Street program from the start. So help all new volunteers develop a solid understanding of your organization, its vision, mission, goals, and culture, and how that background is rooted in the Main Street Network. Keep in mind your audience for an orientation, both board members and general volunteers. A volunteer training program could include event management, social media policy, handling money, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Address the legal, liability, and insurance issues by ensuring all volunteers are properly briefed or prepared for their roles. The Main Street America Volunteer Toolkit is located in Main Street America's membership services with guides, articles, and sample documents to help you get started quickly. The best way to recruit volunteers and keep them engaged is to demonstrate to them and future volunteers that they are, in fact, making a difference. While a simple spreadsheet may be helpful to document contact information and tasks, a database that offers tracking and communication features will help you mobilize a workforce with measurable results and qualitative stories. This includes statistics on total number of volunteers and their hours, financial value of volunteer hours, number of social media posts shared by followers, accomplishments from efforts, and advocacy emails sent by volunteers will be beneficial to your volunteer recruitment and management efforts. Nowadays, people are busier than ever, which means the biggest challenge is keeping the interests of volunteers. They have to feel their time is well spent. So always include these 3 essential elements for engagement and motivation: social recognition, personal acknowledgement, and create community. Social recognition provides both emotional and rational reasons to be involved. Emotional reasons are the stories and social opportunities provided, and rational reasons are the work they see happening and the impact, fact, and statistics. Socially acknowledge their contributions, such as creating a volunteer webpage to tell the stories of volunteers and feature pictures from their efforts. Profiling and highlighting volunteer efforts in email campaigns, digital material, newsletters, or at events, and allowing volunteers to network and connect with others who give them time and donations. Personally acknowledge volunteers, such as saying thank you, goes a long way. Go out of your way to acknowledge the fact that they are taking time out of their schedules to help Main Street when they don't have to. That really makes an impact. Make a point to do something special, like send a personal and penned card in the mail or pick up the phone to say thank you. These initiatives not only remind volunteers you appreciate their efforts, but they are also an opportunity to ask how you can help them to remain involved. And lastly, create community. People are typically social creatures, so nurture a robust community of volunteers with opportunities to network and develop relationships as they help a cause that's meaningful to them. You can create a list with contact information so they can reach out to each other, develop a monthly or quarterly newsletter focused on volunteers or include them in every issue of your general newsletter. Facilitate volunteer gatherings, not just work meetings. Encourage creating fun and engaging social events, monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly, just for the volunteers. When it is time to say goodbye to a volunteer, plan out processing, much like an exit interview, can be helpful in making future volunteer experiences more meaningful and enjoyable. But it can also provide information about screening people who offer their time. Think about how your organization will handle those leaving a role and do it in your organization's special way, one that captures its values and brand. For a successful volunteer program, align the role with someone's interests and connect them emotionally. Volunteer retention is accomplished by thinking about volunteers and what you can do for them and with them. Volunteering ultimately leads to more involvement, increased donations, and resources because today's donors want more direct participation in the organization they support. Your board knows that your Main Street program, to be successful, must have money and enough of it to invest in real impact. Creating and refining the fundraising process takes time. But if you start to consider fundraising from the donor's perspective, you will understand you have to play the long game. It requires your organization to strategically build relationships, year-round. Remember, people are at the heart of the Main Street effort. So let us start this section by looking at the key roles of fundraising and wrap up with connecting to donors. A central role of the board is ensuring that the organization has the resources necessary to advance the mission of the organization. Boards play a critical role in fundraising, so successful nonprofit organizations build an effective partnership between the board, the staff, and volunteers. A Main Street Board of Directors has the fiscal responsibility for programs' financial management. The board establishes priorities driven by vision and mission and ensures alignment between the action plan and the budget. They lead and support fund development through personal commitment and their relationships with capable donors and prospects. More specifically, the roles for raising funds are personal giving, identifying business and individual contacts, nurturing funders through engagement, such as inviting to annual meetings or asking for input, developing ideas and materials, and working at fundraising events. An organization committee or fundraising task force develops and implements specific initiatives, events, and materials that foster funding for the program. That may include annual giving, investor campaigns, and fundraising events. Other committees develop and implement initiatives that foster funding for specific committee efforts. For example, the promotion committee planning a ticketed festival, along with, of course, supporting fundraising activities of the program. The Main Street staff provides essential leadership support to board and committees with regards to developing and managing resources. Understanding the roles is helpful because there is a lot to do before approaching any funders. A development plan is the antidote to nonprofit challenges and uncertainty. It serves as a thoughtful roadmap to set priorities and effectively utilize all their available resources. Why write a plan? To raise more than adequate funds. How do you raise more? By demonstrating trust and impact to your funders and building greater donor relationships. A development plan becomes more like a playbook on how to build meaningful donor engagement that leads increased retention and ultimately giving. Before asking for money, define the plan, process, and measures. Ask, how much do we need to raise this year? What are all the ways my organization can connect with donors to steward and inspire them? Who will contribute to a successful fundraising year? And how will we measure progress so we can change course if needed? How much does your program need to raise this year? Let us take a look at Virginia's Main Street America accredited communities, ones that have met a series of rigorous standards. They have a proven track record of success in planning, implementing, and measuring results that align with the Main Street approach. The guidelines followed say the, quote, Main Street program's budget should be adequate to achieve the program's goals. The dollar amount that is adequate for a program budget may vary from region to region, depending on local cost of living, and may be different for small town, mid-size, and large city Main Street programs. In the case of Virginia's advancing Main Street communities, minimum operating budgets are, for small town programs with populations of less than 5,000 or around 100,000 annually. Mid-sized community programs with populations between 5,000 and 50,000 are around $250,000 annually. And the larger city programs with populations greater than 50,000 are around 500,000 or more annually. What does Main Street need to raise money for? Main Street programs create value when their activities generate community benefit and impact. The program's budget is specifically dedicated for the purpose to enliven the commercial district into a vibrant, people-centered place to live, work, and invest. Main Street creates value in two general buckets: organizational and building programming. Organizational value comes from sustaining operations of the program, covering salary and benefits of staff, fiscal and legal essentials, and training, in addition to promoting the revitalization effort through website development and printed materials. Building programming value includes essential program activities to promote the district with branding, business promotions, and special events, along with design assistance and business attraction and retention. Where is the funding going to come from? There is a lot to navigate, so a review of the sources will follow. Before diving in to each funding source, what you need to know is that diversification is an important part of your program's revenue. What does it mean to be diversified? In a nutshell, it means spreading out risk so each source of revenue is not overly vulnerable. You've probably heard that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. In other words, don't rely on one source of revenue because if it fails, you'll lose everything. Generally, 30 to 50% comes from public funding. Note, to achieve Main Street America accreditation, financial and philosophic support from your municipality is required. This can come from general funds, service agreements, sponsorship of events and projects and grants. 20 to 30% of funding comes from the business district, such as special tax assessments like a BID, which is a business improvement district, or partnership giving programs from specific stakeholders within the district, like the business and property owners and residents primarily. 30 to 40% of funding comes from the broader community, such as corporate partnerships, marketing and sponsorship, and resident and visitor foundation drives and events. And 5 to 15% is from miscellaneous sources, like earned income from the sale of merchandise and ticket fees for festivals. Who or what will contribute to a successful fundraising year? Resist the temptation to say everyone. Be specific. Match potential sources with mission priorities and planned projects. Rather than asking a potential funder or investor to contribute to the program's operating budget, request sponsorships for specific items. Know your audience. Here, we can dive in more deeply into each source. The municipal government typically funds basic operational expenses and may contribute to a specific project. Foremost, understand their goals, communicate often, and demonstrate value. You will see the community impacts more easily if you do not have to spend so much time fundraising. So a strong relationship and contribution from the municipality is key. If the town or city covers operating expenses, including executive director compensation, then there is more time for your program to focus on activities. Also, consider a service agreement, which is, quote, a fee for service. Where can you provide the most value to the municipality? What are their needs, and how can your organization meet those needs? Have that conversation and then develop an agreement with a scope of service and correlating fee. A business improvement district, commonly abbreviated to BID, is called a community improvement district here in Virginia. It is a self-help funding mechanism authorized by state law that allows businesses and property owners within a defined area to establish a special assessment district. Funds raised can be used to provide management services, facilities, and programs to the district. Note, setting up one requires a lot of effort and time to put together and is usually very politically sensitive. There's also the hospitality tax, such as lodging and sales tax. This is imposed by local government on hotel room and luxury sales. A portion could be used for promotion of tourism or construction and operation of tourism-related facilities. Often government contributes to local efforts such as Chamber of Commerce, Convention Bureau, and Main Street to promote tourism, therefore increasing hotel occupancy. In Main Street's case, it is used to fund downtown management, promotions, public improvements, public facilities, and technical assistance. Corporations or businesses contribute through donations or money, services, and equipment. They commonly look upon donations to social and economic development causes as investments in the community, and typically evaluate them in terms of return on that investment, usually in terms of dollars, publicity, human betterment, or economic growth. Generally, sponsorships are a good source for special events and promotions. Suppliers involved in events could be willing to donate a portion of their product in exchange to be listed as a sponsor of the event. Potential sponsors also evaluate contributions in terms of return on investment. Individuals in the greater community or existing volunteers are often an overlooked means of funding. Volunteers might sell spots in a coordinated advertising campaign, provide part-time office help or clerical support, help solicit donations, and may prepare a financial statement or submit a tax return. Given appropriate motivation and management, volunteers can do most anything. Individuals in the greater community donate to contribute to the betterment of their hometown and can be motivated by a totally philanthropic standpoint. Foundation donations are grants to aid social, educational, charitable, religious, and other activities that serve public welfare. Foundations are non-government, nonprofit organizations with produced income that is awarded as grants, considered investment of their assets. These funds usually have restrictions on what they will and will not support, based on the mission, activities, and areas of interest. Commonly, grants are dispersed by governments, foundations, trusts, and corporations to nonprofits or municipalities. They are typically project-based, require some level of competence in reporting, and in some circumstances can support staff and operations roughly 10 to 20%. Fundraising events are a great source of revenue for downtown management, promotions, public improvements, and public facilities. These events can occur regularly and are conceived and run like a business, meaning it is critical that goals, plans, and budget are thoroughly worked out for profitability. The selling of products or merchandise related to the organization, community, or promotion are only limited by the imagination. Selling t-shirts, posters, game boards, and bricks for streetscape projects need a well-thought-out plan. And finally, service fees can be generated for professional services such as building design assistance, parking management or enforcement, property management, real estate negotiation or packaging, retail promotion packaging, advertising, or business recruitment. A service agreement with your municipality can help with establishing expectations and documenting specific outcomes, each supportive to a mutually beneficial relationship. Local Main Street organizations typically go through 3 distinct phases of development. The first 2 phases, Catalyst and Growth, focus on revitalizing the commercial district, bringing it back to a position of economic health. The third phase, Management, focuses on enhancing and maintaining the commercial district's economic health. In each of these phases, different funding sources may be appropriate to align with the evolving program needs and priorities. Fundraising in the Catalyst phase is usually in the form of 3 to 4 year pledges, with support from both the public and private sectors. Because the new organization has no track record yet, it must in essence sell a dream to the community, asking people to take a leap of faith in providing funding for the initiative's first few years. During the growth phase of a maturing program, fundraising should be based on a realistic business plan with a 5 to 10 year timeline, seeking investment from various constituencies, agencies, organizations, etc. for specific projects. A well-conceived comprehensive fundraising campaign is needed. Sources may include friends of or an investor campaign, sponsorships, contract for services, and capital improvements funding. During the management phase of an ongoing effort, the program should concentrate on all the above, plus earned income through such resources as special assessment districts, endowment funds, and tax increment financing. How will you put your ideas into action? Like the Main Street program's overall action plan, a strategic fundraising plan is one that focuses on your mission and includes your board, staff members, and fundraising goals and objectives that will get you farther in the long run. A strategic fundraising plan is a map to follow as you raise funds. Each step of your map should include what path to take as you reach or miss a campaign's fundraising goal. In addition to financial goals, what other qualitative goals will you set that will strengthen your fundraising? Here's some ideas to consider. Increase board participation rates, grow monthly giving program, improve email open rates. After you have set the big picture, you can focus on the specifics for each of your monetary goals by setting objectives, strategies, and creating an action plan to launch these ideas. This Network for Good fundraising template is a great example to assist with itemizing your nonprofit fundraising data to lend support to your fundraising strategy. The template assists with seeing broader fundraising growth and improvements year over year. Include the sources and income and expense amount to understand and track the net gain of your efforts. How do you know we're succeeding? While not all of a Main Street program's work is easily measurable, it is critical that we identify ways to tell a more complete story about the difference Main Street makes, and that we have the data to back it up. Metrics on any level are important, giving you data to make informed decisions. Some key metrics to include in your fundraising efforts are total number of donors, total number of new donors, total number of donors that lapsed, say 2 fiscal years prior compared to last fiscal year. Percentage of retention. How many of your donors are renewing their gifts every year? Average gift. Hopefully it is increasing. If not, what ways can you build better relationships and communicate more effectively across multiple channels? Cost to raise $1. How much are you spending versus how much you are raising? Are your efforts focused on what has the best return on your limited investment of time and resources? Focus on those efforts that have the best return on investment. Remember, developing and focusing on a robust engagement program for the community and stakeholders is a path that will deliver meaningful results to your organization. This extends to fundraising too. Here are a few ways to connect with your donors, to steward and inspire them. You can't easily sell a program to funders, but you can sell specific projects. A clear, well-thought-out work plan filled with useful projects will motivate both you and your donors and investors. Work with the board and other committees to develop a good product to sell. And that is a dynamic work plan with projects relevant to the investors. Produce an attractive information packet and webpage with a donor button that includes your organization's goals, track record, specific plans, and participants. And be prepared to answer the often unasked questions. What will this program do for me? While some will be motivated by philanthropic reasons, others may want to see the return on that investment. Promoting the Main Street District is the obvious task of the promotion committee, but promoting the Main Street program is the job of the organization committee. Don't assume everyone will know, understand, and appreciate your work and mission. Think of the different ways to communicate the why. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. What motivates people the most in your mission and vision of what you're hoping to achieve with your program. One of the best ways is through humanized story, a collection of humans driving the program. Work with your local newspaper, television stations, and your social media channels to place stories about the stakeholders that you support and that support your program. Create original content to be pushed through a variety of channels telling your story, including video. What historic events, industries, and milestones can make up the fabric of your community? What is currently going on in your main street? What businesses are opening? What is a day-to-day life like on your main street? What is your organization doing to sustain the main street for future generations? What's on the horizon? In-person communication is where you need to put time and make a priority. Connect to their heartstrings, and they will give you their time and financial investment. Consider developing a customized Main Street presentation to show to prospective partners. Create an ambassador program, or simply print a business card size elevator speech for your board and volunteers. Storytelling doesn't stop with human interest. Be sure to share the results of your Main Street efforts. Use the marketing channels just discussed to highlight achievements, recognize support of partners and volunteers, and therefore create the backdrop for ongoing economic development. The Orange Downtown Alliance created a stakeholder report to tell their existing and prospective supporters about their year like no other, sharing financial impacts, project achievements, and gratitude to all who helped. It is all right to toot your own horn. That pleases all involved to know that their efforts are being put to great use and having an impact on the community. As a recap, here are the key steps of a successful organization effort. 1. Invite diverse stakeholders together from all sectors to be proactive participants in the transformation of downtown. 2. Develop an action plan to accomplish the downtown vision and experience real results. 3. Foster and reward stakeholder engagement for a robust volunteer pipeline. 4. Nurture a sense of ownership that results in a culture of giving for a sustainable effort. And 5, be transparent with your donors and volunteers, sharing exactly how their contribution impacts the organization and committee. If you are interested in learning more, many resources can be found through Main Street America's Main Street Resource Center, including guides, pre-recorded webinars, and The Point, which is a professional networking platform. Virginia Main Street's blog, which highlights best practices, funding, and training opportunities, as well as a clearinghouse of pre-recorded webinars and training handouts. And the Center for Nonprofit Excellence, a champion, learning partner, and advisor to Virginia nonprofits. Please reach out to the Virginia Main Street staff. We're here to help. Thank you for your interest in Main Street.